Hello and good afternoon. It is about 5:30 p.m. Today, the 9th of May. This is the second meeting of our federal programs meetings that we have every year. We'll have one more on Saturday. Thank you for those of you who are here. And for those of you online, what I've noticed is that there is quite a bit of people on Instagram more than anything, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know that compared to the other social media outlets. I'm not too sure if anybody can hear me. I'm going to check out my phone because sometimes people will text me and say, hey, I can hear you, or they'll say, no, I can't hear you. Or so if you are out there and you don't mind just letting me know if you can hear me, that would be great. Otherwise, somebody will tell me something, so I do appreciate that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start. With that being said, thank you for joining us. You don't have to join us if you don't want. I know we're a busy day. Hopefully we get this done a lot faster than normal, than what we did on Tuesday, because we had a little bit of difficulties with our network and some things, but I think we got it worked out. Thank you to Mr. Alvarado and Mrs. Sabia for working that out for us. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start. Again, this is our second meeting for the federal programs that we have in Fort Stockton ISD and Career Technology, as well as ESSER meeting. This will probably be the last time we discuss ESSER meetings this year. Next year we may not have to do that, thank goodness, because it just deals with a lot of money that the district got, and many school districts in Texas received when it came down to federal funds during COVID-19 and the pandemic. So I do appreciate that. Say this, and then come over here. There was one little thing that popped up on my screen, and I think it was that. So I think we are good. Yay. All right, we're back to where we're doing okay. So again, there is a sign-in sheet, which what I also did was I added in the chat a Padlet that has all the things that are on this page, and so here they are right here. You'll see the sign-in sheet. There's another sign-in sheet for CLNA. There's the YouTube link, Facebook link, Twitter link, Instagram link, and then there is the links that are within the presentation itself. So that is there. So all the information here is posted on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as far as information. If you want to click on any of that information and sign in, if you don't mind, that'd be great. There is the information there where the meeting is at. Thank you for being here today. And there's a few people online on YouTube Live. And there's a few people on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram happens to be the most popular one. That's kind of cool. Didn't know that, but now we do, right? There is the Padlet that we talked about, so we're good for that. Again, this is the second meeting that we are discussing here, right? And thank you for being here. This is a requirement to inform the public of the participation of federal programs. We just explain things to stakeholders as needed. There's aspects of the Title I federal programs that we talk about, and one of the main things is that we have to let parents know that we do have a parent-student compact, which all that basically says is that parents have the right to be involved in the school's programs, and that they can make decisions relating to the education of their children. And so every parent has that right, even though we know that, we work like that. Just keep in mind, sometimes our kids don't like some of the decisions as parents make, and sometimes schools, but it's okay. Sometimes life doesn't always go the way we want it to go, but we do our very best in schools. And so the other thing is that federal funds, we have what's called the district improvement plan and the campus improvement plan for every campus, and there's one for the district. And within that plan, it's basically just a blueprint to how we improve on academics throughout our schools, which for us, the way the state of Texas and the federal government measures us are with our STAR scores and EOC scores. And we look at how we can do to help kids and give them the things that they need, all while doing the very best to do it as efficiently as possible with the funds that we have through whether it's the federal programs that we get money from, our local taxes, and then there's some state money as well. And then the parent and family engagement aspect of this as well is all part of the federal programs that we discuss. The other aspect is within the parent involvement policies and the parent compacts, there's handbooks that every campus has, and it kind of describes the roles of what parents are. And at the elementary level, we're talking about Alamo School, Apache School, and Intermediate School. Every year, those schools are required to have a parent-teacher conference with their parents and their teachers. So that happens every year. We usually do it after the first grading period in the fall, so that we can have contact with our parents. The other aspect is we have flexible meetings with our parents and our other staff members, so that way we can get the very best to our students and their teachers and their parents especially. We discuss things such as the curriculum, the instruction, and the assessment, and those are three major aspects of learning that we have in our schools. Curriculum is what we teach, instruction is the actual how we teach that curriculum, and then assessment is how we test to see if we did it well as far as teaching those students that they can learn. Like, our job is to make sure kids learn. Sometimes they don't want to learn like we want them to, but we do our very best to make sure that they are learning. And then that we provide any additional meetings as parents are requesting or needing. The other aspect of this is that we talk about a written agreement between parents of what we can do to make sure students are improving on learning and how we address high quality curriculum and instruction. Then we look at how we support those children throughout the whole process while they're in schools, and that we keep in constant communication with parents as well. We look at the importance of the parents and decisions that they have to make with their students, and we try our very best all the time to get parents involved when it becomes to important decisions that we do with their children. Sometimes I know that a lot of times the older kids get, sometimes they don't want their parents involved in things, and so we do our very best to let them know they're still a child, even though they may be 18 or 19 years old. We do our very best to keep students involved with their decisions as well as their parents. Then we talk about the curriculum. Curriculum basically is what we teach. People sometimes ask, well, why do you got to teach the Pythagorean theorem, or why do you got to teach web trees, in biology? Because the state of Texas says we have to do that. And so there's everything that a teacher teaches in every class. There's these things called Texas Essentials Knowledge and Skills, and so every teacher has to teach those things, and we have to assess students based upon that information. And we do that by doing the STAR test and then any local assessments. Local assessments is a big old crazy word that says tests. Like, so we take tests to test, little bits of information, then we take like end of year tests that test like a lot of information, all right? So that's what curriculum, the main idea of what curriculum is. We do have meetings to inform parents how we make those decisions of educating their children. We distribute materials home to parents. We use social media quite a bit. Shout out to the technology department in Reba Sabia for making sure we get as much information out there as possible. I will tell you, there are times that parents want some information about something that's happening at a school, and sometimes we have to take in consideration a lot of ideas and things. I will tell you, our number one goal, and anytime a situation comes up, because I had a parent call me this morning, the number one goal we have to do is keep kids safe, our staff safe, and then we inform parents with the best of the information we have now. As crazy as it sounds, sometimes we don't get information all the time as we need it, but we do our very best. And so that's when I talk to parents, I'm like, give us as much information as you can, even if you don't think it's something that we should be alarmed about. Sometimes you never know. So we work well with our local law enforcement agencies to make sure that we're all on the same page of things. There is one aspect of Title I funds that says we reserve 1% set aside just so that we put that money aside for family engagement, and because of that, we're able to hire a retired principal, Estella Casas, who does amazing jobs checking on kids, checking on families, making sure that they have the things that they need or the resources that they can go to be able to ensure that their students are doing well in schools. Their other aspect is that we have teacher qualifications. Parents can always request their teacher's information, their qualifications to be a teacher. There's several different things that come into play here. Number one, there's some CTE teachers who aren't certified to be a teacher, but the states, there's laws that allow, for example, a nurse, an RN, can teach our CNA classes, right? Because they have the skills to be able to do that, to teach students to get their CNA. So we have different positions like that within the district that we're able to do that. You can always call your school if you have any questions about the aspects of your teacher's qualifications at your school that your children has, okay? Again, there is a right to know that teachers, the certification of teachers, parents have the right to know if those teachers do not meet the state certification requirements. And again, they may not have a teacher certificate, but there's other ways that they can get those certificates as well. And when that happens, we do inform parents back in the fall when that happens, and we say, hey, here's the thing, we may not have these teachers who are certified, but sometimes it happens. And I hope I'm being heard. Let me see. Somebody sent me a message and said, are you being heard? I think I am. So I'll leave it like that. And so those letters are mailed home when we need to do something as far as hiring teachers who may not have the certifications as mentioned. The other aspect is we have to look at evaluating any barriers or things that get in the way of being able to do the very best to get parents involved. We have school and family interactions. We do a lot of interactions with parents, mainly through surveys, meetings, committees, social media, and then we report those findings to our campus improvement plan, through our district improvement plan, to see what it is we can do to increase parent engagement within our schools. These are just the aspects of what the title funds are designed to address. Right, but I will tell you, for the most part, our majority of funds are providing extra staffing to improve teaching within school districts so we can lower classroom sizes. There's a Title I Part A that basically we just, in that type of fund, the government requests that we acknowledge economically disadvantaged students. And that involves an entire educational program that we have here in Fort Stockton. We look at achieving higher rates of passing for students who are struggling in schools, and we also employ effective methods of instruction, and we look at research-based instruction to help out with our students of what we can do to help them learn. Then we also have migrant services that are addressed in the federal programs, and we have about 10 students who, with our migrants. We have 10 migrant students within our district, and so migrant students are temporary seasonal work students. We have to ensure that they overcome any challenges that they may have and that they succeed in school through those transitions. Okay, so that's really what we do for when it comes to migrant students, just like it is in any other place that has migrant students. Title II, Part A is supporting effective instruction that's tied to teachers per se, okay? That says, what do we do for teachers to help them increase student achievement, increase on their quality and effectiveness, and what we do to support educators to overall support students. And so that's where that fund is taken into place as well. There's Title III, Part A, which addresses English language learners. We address proficiency in English and how well those students do on the STAR test. Then we have Title IV, which is support for academic enrichment, for well-rounded instruction and education in our schools, and how we improve the academic outcomes of our students. We use technology as part of this. And then there's the issue of supplement and supplant, okay? Supplement just says we're adding to money that we're already spending to help students do well in school. Sorry about that. And supplant says we can't do this, but supplant says you just totally replace the money with another money. That's not what we're able to do with these title funds, and so that is an aspect of it that we have to keep mindful of that, okay? Title V is Part B is Rural Education Initiative. Sometimes it's called REAP. It basically says, hey, we know that rural school districts like Fort Stockton ISD may be limited to the resources, so they give us a little bit more money so we can access those resources, or we can do things a little bit differently within our system to help out with improving education of our students. Now we're touching the state compensatory education program, which basically the state government that says, hey, Texas says we want to make sure you guys are addressing students who are considered at risk. And so at risk, it says students are at risk of failing or not graduating. So there's several different ways you can be considered at risk. The first one is if you didn't pass a grade level, if you didn't make a 70 on any course subjects that equivalent to a grade 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in those grade levels, you have to have a 70 overall in 2 or more subjects. If you don't have a 70 overall in 2 or more subjects, then you're considered at risk. Then if you did not pass the STAR at 110%. So what does that basically mean, 110% on the STAR test? I'm going to take it down to like a level that sometimes I understand. And that level is, if let's just say STAR is passing in a 70, well, you would be considered at risk. And so for you not to be at risk, you'd have to score at least a 77, 78. So that's where that comes into play. They're just saying if you do not score a 78, 77 on the STAR test, then you would be considered at risk. Now, that is just a hypothetical number, because I will tell you the STAR test has a crazy way, the way the state of Texas grades them and the numbers that come into play. Fort Stockton ISD has no control over that. We have to play the rules of what TEA and the state of Texas has in place, and they play the rules that is made by the legislators, and so that's just the way it is. And then we talk about pre-kindergarten and kindergarten grades 1, 2, and 3. If the students didn't do well on readiness tests, then they'll be coded at risk, right? And then if a student is pregnant or not, if the student is pregnant or if they're a parent, they're considered at risk. If they're in an alternative education program, they're at risk. If they've been expelled, if they're involved with the law in any way possible, whether it's parole, probation, what have you, they're considered at risk as well. We talk about if students who are dropped out of school, they are considered at risk. And so we have some students who drop out and they come back for whatever reason. We're not here to judge. We're just here to help them and make sure that they do the very best so they can learn. Then we talk about limited English proficiency. Again, that's students who English is not their first language, right? Technology and Fortnite language does not count. It's just the English language. I know sometimes a lot of kids talk about other kinds of languages that I'm sometimes confused at, but nevertheless, it is what it is, right? And then if they're part of the Department of Family and Protective Services, CPS, anything involved with juvenile courts like that, they would be considered at risk. If a student is homeless, according to the way the laws describe them as homeless, if they've been placed in a residential placement facility, they've been in jail, or their parents have been in jail. Now, we don't go out saying, have you been in jail? As you know, we don't ask parents that at all. If we find out by the parents saying, hey, my husband's getting out of jail, my wife is getting out of jail, my loved one's getting out of jail, you know, we're not here to judge. We just, in our system, because the state of Texas says, we want to know, right? It's not us. It doesn't matter. I will tell you, none of these at-risk situations matter to us. All we know is that we have a child, whoever that child is, and we want to make them we want to help them be the best student that they can be, and that they grow wherever that they grow at. They may be at this level, and then some kids get here, and then some kids get there. It doesn't matter. Our whole intention is to help them grow and become better, and that they hopefully graduate one day, and that is our goal. We're not here to judge any other aspect of that. We want every child to be successful in our schools, and so we appreciate you trusting us with your children. Now I'm going to go into the career and technology information, which is called Perkins, and Mr. Alvarado is our assistant superintendent of career and technology, and so I'm just going to go over a little bit about that right now. Shout out to him for providing this information for us. So we have, first of all, right in here, these are the rates that the Career and Technology Department is graded on, per se. There is a statewide rate and then the district rate. And so I'm just going to briefly go over them. If you notice, we're doing really good here in the 90 percentage. We're doing really well when it comes to our career and technology students who are getting 100% passing on what you would call the reading EOC or the STAR end of course exam. Math, we struggle a little bit. Science, we're doing better. Post-program placement, that means, like, do we have students who are doing well after high school who are in career and technology classes? And so we are doing better than that. Non-traditional program concentration, that is a long word to say. Do we have boys in cosmetology class? This example, do we have boys in cosmetology classes? Do we have girls in our auto tech classes? Why does it matter? It doesn't matter to us, but the state of Texas wants to know. For whatever reason, we kind of get a scoring on that. Like, they check you, you're good, or what, you got to be better than the state. Okay, great, whatever. It is what it is. We're not here to judge kids what they want to do. We do the very best for what is for each individual kid. And then if they've been program quality attained, recognized, or CTE completer, our goal is to, when we talk about completers, I'll go over that here in a little bit. That just basically says, do we have students who are in woodshop 1, 2, 3, and 4? and can we get them to get a certification of some sort? Okay, and that we're always working on what can we do, because we know that not every student is going to go to college. We know that, but is there something we can do at the schools which is totally different from whenever I went to school? But now we look at what can we do to help kids be successful beyond high school. Kicking and screaming, right? I think a lot of times kids want to get done in high school, but they're kind of scared, like, what am I going to do, right? So we do our very best with our counselors at the high school and the administrative team with Dr. Vogel and Mr. Cruff and Mrs. Porter and Mrs. Delaney and Mrs. Havens to make sure that we do our very best to ensure kids are doing the great things that they can do beyond high school. This is our indicators that just shows where the state CTE learners and the district CTE learners. This is the same slide that we just saw a minute ago. It just has graphs, and so anytime the district is above the state, we're in good shape, right? This again is another way that shows the district non-CTE learners versus the district CTE learners. So what this is basically saying is all those indicators I showed you earlier, if kids are in CTE classes, they tend to do better than students who are not in CTE classes. And so what that basically tells me is that kids who are busy, kids who are using their hands, kids who are doing things just besides sitting down at a desk or on their computer, although they could be in the technology classes, right? They could be working on things in technology with their hands and stuff. We have a great partnership with Mellon College, and we're always looking to improve on that. So because of that, our kids do better when they're involved in those classes, so that's a good thing. This just shows the amount of we have what's called the labor market alignment with the state career clusters that the state of Texas says, and this just shows all the learners that we have in each group. Architecture and construction is a lot, it's high. Health sciences is high. Human services, agricultural, food, law and public service, there's a lot of career technology classes that our kids are taking. And so if you look, people always say, well, y'all need to start teaching these things, you know, and well, we are. We even have a law and public service pathway in our schools, and so we have all these in our schools, and we do our very best to hopefully get them to where they have skills that they can take in the real world and be successful in life, right? These are the indicators when it comes to completers and participants and what have you. So we have students. A participant is someone who just takes one class, a CTE class, right? And then an explorer takes 2 or more high school classes. They may not be in the same cluster. It may be wood shop here, but then I may take a CNA class. You know, that's just an example, right? And then a concentrator is one who passes 2 of those classes, like wood shop and wood shop. And then a completer is they would do wood shop 1, 2, 3, and 4 to be a completer. So there is a program study overview definitions, and basically we have to incorporate challenging state academic standards. And you can read through those, and then we just have to make sure that we're doing what's best for kids in our area in West Texas. And I will tell you, for the most part, West Texas, the labor market is revolved around energy, whether it's oil, gas, transportive oil and gas, welding, anything to do with energy is very heavily needed in West Texas area, including Fort Stockton. Again, these are just a description of the program, the programs of study and how they changed over year, and they could probably change some more. They change based upon the state standards, what legislators believe they should be, and what the Texas Education Agency believes they should be too. There's a link there, and so this link is in that in that Padlet that I pasted in the comments. So if you want to go to it, it is there. It just basically describes all the clusters on the TEA's website. This is a workforce commission. If you go to this web page here, you can find all kinds of information when it comes to career technology and exploration with the Texas Workforce Commission. This is our CLNA, Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment, that we encourage you to fill out. It is in the Padlet as well. There is a link there, so if you don't want to fill it out, great. If you do, great. It is okay. Then we have ESSER information. This is basically ESSER is one thing. COVID-19 is what ESSER is, and there was ESSER 1, 2, and 3. The whole idea of that was to address the learning recovery within our schools as it related to COVID-19, and can we address the academic, social, and emotional needs of our students. And so ESSER 1, 2, and 3, those are the dates there. We should be done with ESSER 3 in 2024, believe it or not. So ESSER 1, we had about $500,000. ESSER 2, we had about $2 million extra. And ESSER 3, we had about $5 million. The last portion of ESSER 3 money that schools can have or spend really is going to be this coming August, right? So that's why it's still here, all right? And again, it's to address COVID-19 learning recovery. We had to at least spend 20% for learning recovery. We had to address high quality learning, supported. We have to targeted support and resources for our students and teachers during that time that they came back from COVID-19, from the pandemic. The whole idea was to retain high. So we did some things. We maintained health and safety of our students and staff. We reduced the risk of virus and transmissions. We put in air purifiers. We changed the HVAC system at Apache School that needed a huge improvement. So, and then our whole idea was to retain high need, high impact individuals, such as some of the best teachers we can find, and how we can keep them here. We addressed learning recovery among all students. We did it by high quality assessments, best practice academic activities. I will tell you that I'll talk at the end about how I feel about learning, okay? I should do it at the beginning while everybody's on board, right? Goal of FSIDS ESSER 3 is just to provide improvement academics of all our students. That's all it basically is, okay? So we're towards the end of the funds that we've had with that, which is fine. We have campus curriculum directors to help each teacher on their campus develop a little bit better from a curriculum aspect. We have academic high need stipends for our staff, especially for tested subjects. So what we're basically saying here is that teachers who test, who are teaching tested subjects, a lot of weight of the shoulders of the school and the district fall on their shoulders, right? So that's why they're super important to us, and we improve on student academic performance and how we can retain those teachers and keep them and reward them for being the best teachers we have, right? So, and again, we have retention stipends that we give out. We fed students throughout the pandemic. We build on curriculum and schools and homes. We practice daily measures. Again, there's the HVAC that we talked about earlier, that we replaced the HVAC system at Apache. We address social and emotional needs different ways, and some of that we address bullying. We include hope and resilience. And we did Rachel's Challenge, and there's 2 plans that the ESSER 3 funds have to ask you about that we have to post online. It's a safe return to in-person instruction, and then the use of funds. These are the use of funds for the ESSER 1. Again, we talked about salaries, Chromebooks, consulting, safe services. All we did was we just spent a lot of money on salaries and on Chromebooks. And then ESSER 2, we spent a lot of money on retention, and then maintenance and custodial. We spent quite a bit of money on what we could do to keep our schools healthier, cleaner, and so that's what we did. The other aspect of that is we did retention pay for ESSER 3. The campus curriculum directors, the salaries, the zone pay, academic stipends, summer school tutorials, all these things here go back to the teachers and how we can improve on academics. When you help teachers improve on academics, you help students improve on academics. And we talk about Texas Tech tuition that we ended up partnering with. We did Rachel's Challenge, which addressed social emotional needs, the air filtration systems, the HVAC system, which was air conditioning at the Apache School. And then so we're zeroed out. We spent that money in the best way we felt was possible for our teachers and staff and school district. And everything was designed to improve on the academics of students. And the number one way you can improve on academics of students is you put the very best teachers in those classrooms with smaller classroom sizes. We know that. We know that is one of the best ways to do that. Those are the campus contact numbers for our campuses there. There's quite a bit of them, but now since we changed our phone system, you only need one, but those are the numbers that still work. These are the principals. We have Dr. Kenneth Vogel at Fort Stockton High School, Sammy Solis at middle school. We have Mr. Castillo at intermediate, Mrs. Pacheco at Alamo, Mrs. Saldana at Apache, and Mr. Sanchez at the Bud School. So with that being said, let me switch this over. I just want to say thank you for being with us today. I want to say that I appreciate the year's coming to the end. It's been a crazy, fantastic year. We do appreciate you. I just want to, sometimes people think that we call the shots and make the rules on a lot of things, but I will tell you that a lot of things that we do in schools is comes down from the legislators, comes down from TEA that we have to do from the number of minutes kids have to be in the classroom to what they're taught to all the things that they're doing. And so we do our very best to do what the state of Texas wants us to do. But more importantly, kids are important. All the kids that we have in our schools are super important. So we do appreciate you sharing your students with us. They're a joy. Some days, you know, it's like my own children. I love my kids and they love me, but some days we don't like each other, right? And that's okay. All we know is that we love each other and we do our very best to grow and be 1% better every day. So I want to challenge everybody out there, try to be 1% better every day at whatever it is. Nobody has to be perfect, but you do need to try to be 1% better. With that being said, I don't see any comments anywhere. Let me check Instagram. I don't think there is. So you guys have an amazing day, a great day. I appreciate you. And I will see you on Saturday for anybody who wants to be here. Have a great day.